"Hi, you're on the Reddit Confessions channel." She reached into her purse mid-laugh and froze. No warning. No build-up. One moment she was sipping her overpriced mojito, telling me about how clean energy is the future. And the next she was staring at a ring she hadn't seen in 2 years. A ring. The one she swore had been stolen at the gym. It sat in her palm like it had never left her finger. But that wasn't what stopped her breath. It was the note beneath it. 6 words, folded tight enough to cut. I watched her expression fall apart, molecule by molecule. Her perfectly rehearsed charm slipped, the laughter halted mid-throat, and her free hand trembled as she unfolded the small paper I had slipped inside when she wasn't looking. She blinked. Once, twice, then she read it, and read it again. I didn't speak. I didn't need to. The silence between us did all the work. A couple at the next table clinked glasses. Someone spilled water behind us. The city skyline gleamed like it always does at 8:43 p.m. But we were no longer part of it. She finally looked at me. Her voice was barely audible. "What is this?" I tilted my head, pretending to think. "A reminder." "You," she started, then stopped like the rest of the sentence had teeth. I didn't flinch. I'd rehearsed this moment too many times in my head. Rewound it. Rewritten it. But nothing prepared me for seeing her crack like that. Not cry. Not scream. Just crack. Her fingers clenched around the note. She dropped the ring. It hit the plate with a sound too sharp for a restaurant like this. A sound that turned heads. She didn't notice. Her eyes were locked on me now, searching for the version of me she thought she still controlled. But I wasn't him anymore. I was the guy who had stopped pretending. And the note? She could burn it, hide it, deny it, but she couldn't unread it. That was just the beginning. The waiter came over, clearly uncomfortable, pretending he hadn't noticed the ring clatter onto the bread plate like a dropped bullet. "Can I, get you two anything else?" he asked, his eyes flicking between us. Then to the small square of folded paper in her hand like it might explode. "No," I said, without looking at him. "We're fine." Aubrey still hadn't said a word. She sat paralyzed, lips slightly parted, eyes locked on the note as though it was rewriting her entire past in real time. And maybe it was. It wasn't even anything dramatic. No curse words, no accusations. Just a surgical truth she couldn't defend against. "I saw the hotel key in your gym bag. This dinner is my goodbye." That's all it said. And yet it cut cleaner than any screaming match ever could. She didn't try to deny it. That's what really got me. Not a single excuse. Not even the fake shock I expected. The insulted, "How dare you accuse me?" reaction she'd perfected in smaller arguments. Instead, she folded the note back with trembling fingers and placed it beside the glass of wine she hadn't touched in 10 minutes. "You went through my stuff?" Her voice was barely above a whisper, eyes glassy now. I let out a breath, finally meeting her gaze. "That's the part that bothers you?" She looked down. Guilt. Real, raw, undressed guilt. She wasn't ready for it. Not here. Not in front of strangers and candlelight. And certainly not from me, the man she thought was still too weak to confront her directly. Her phone buzzed on the table. She jumped. The name on the screen? Grady. I didn't have to say anything. The phone did it for me. She snatched it up, flipped it face down, and reached across the table like that made anything better. "Vernon," she said softly. "Please don't do this here." I raised an eyebrow. "You're worried about appearances now?" She swallowed. "This isn't what you think." "No." I leaned forward. "Then tell me, what is it?" She opened her mouth, closed it, and said nothing. Exactly what I expected. That's when I stood up. I didn't yell. I didn't throw a drink or cause a scene. I simply stood, buttoned my jacket, and nodded once. "I already paid," I said. "You can keep the ring this time." And I walked away, leaving behind nothing but her silence and a note she would never forget. I didn't look back when I stepped out of the restaurant. That was the hardest part. Resisting the urge to glance over my shoulder, to see if she chased me, if she sat there stunned or cried or dialed his number the second I disappeared. But I didn't want to give her that power again. Not even visually. I wanted the image in her head to be final. Me walking away, calm, not destroyed, not begging. Just done. Outside, the cold bit through my jacket like needles. I stood there for a moment, feeling the weight of the entire marriage collapse into a tight ball in my stomach. For a few seconds, I wasn't proud. I wasn't strong. I was just a guy alone on the sidewalk, unsure where to go now that everything I built no longer had a foundation. Then my phone buzzed. A message from her. No words, just a photo. I hesitated before opening it. But curiosity's a cruel thing. It was the ring, back in her hand. And below it, on the table, the note I had written. The caption read, "You didn't have to do this. No apology. No confession. Just guilt turned into blame, like I was the one who burned the house down after she struck the match." I didn't reply. Couldn't. I turned off my phone and walked. I didn't go home. I ended up at a tiny motel on the edge of town. The kind with flickering signs and carpets that haven't seen a vacuum in years. The guy at the front desk didn't ask questions. He handed me a key like he'd done it 1,000 times for other men with the same empty look in their eyes. The room was cold. I sat on the edge of the bed for an hour, maybe more, until my thoughts finally landed on something that made me clench my fists. What would have happened if I never found the keycard in her gym bag? Would I still be sitting across from her, buying dessert, telling her how much I loved her, while she laughed behind my back every other night? The truth hit like a slap. She never intended to stop. Not until she got caught. And maybe not even then. Suddenly, my sadness boiled into something sharper. I picked up my phone again. Still no new messages from her. But someone else had texted me. "Grady, tell me what you want. Just don't involve her. This is between us now." Between us? Now I wasn't just betrayed. Now I was challenged. And that changed everything. I stared at the message from Grady like it had teeth. Don't involve her. This is between us now. The nerve. As if I owed him restraint. As if I was the one crossing lines in someone else's marriage. For a solid minute, I just sat there, rereading it, my pulse ticking louder with every repetition. It wasn't just what he said, it was how casually he said it. Like this was business. Like cheating with another man's wife didn't require a shred of shame. I didn't respond. I wasn't going to give him the satisfaction. But that didn't mean I could sit still either. I started pacing the motel room, every step dragging more thoughts out of the shadows. Why was he texting me? Had she told him about the note? Was he trying to protect her? Or worse, was he taunting me, convinced I wouldn't do anything except sulk in a rented room off Highway 3? That night I didn't sleep. I didn't even try. I lay on the bed, fully clothed, staring at the ceiling, watching the headlights from passing cars slice across the walls. Around 2:14 a.m., I unlocked my phone again and scrolled through old pictures. Ones I hadn't looked at in months. There we were on our anniversary trip to Maine. Smiling, hands intertwined. She was leaning into me, and I remembered how warm she felt. Now I wondered if even that was real. By morning, I had made a decision. Not revenge. Not confrontation. Exposure. If they were going to act like nothing mattered, like our marriage was just a phase she'd outgrown, then I was going to give them something they couldn't ignore. I took a photo of the note, then one of the ring in my hand, and finally, a screenshot of Grady's message. I put it all into a single post and wrote exactly 12 words. This is how 9 years ends. Secrets, silence, and a coward. I didn't name them. I didn't have to. Everyone who needed to know would. I hit post. By noon, my phone was melting. Not from her. From everyone else. Mutual friends. Her coworkers. Her sister. And one message that hit me harder than I expected. "You deserve better, Vernon. I'm so sorry." It was from Lisa, her best friend. The one she always claimed I was too paranoid about. Now I wasn't sure who I trusted less. My wife, or the people who kept her secrets. And suddenly, I realized I wasn't even close to the bottom yet. I didn't expect Lisa's message to shake me. Out of all the reactions pouring in after I posted the truth, hers stuck like a splinter under the skin. You deserve better, Vernon. I'm so sorry. Simple. Clean. Too clean. That's what bothered me. There was something beneath it. I could feel it. I didn't respond right away. I just watched the screen, reread her words, and felt my throat tighten. Not from sadness this time, but from suspicion. Lisa had always been close to Aubrey. Too close. The kind of friendship that involved late-night FaceTime calls, whispered updates, and phrases like, "He doesn't get it. Does he?" I used to brush it off. I wanted to believe Aubrey needed someone to vent to. But now I started to wonder if Lisa had been helping cover tracks all along. So I replied, "What are you sorry for?" 3 dots appeared almost immediately. Then they vanished. Then they came back. She was typing, stopping, typing again, which meant she was deciding how much of the truth she was ready to admit. Her message finally landed. 1 line. I told her not to let it go that far. That far? I didn't even know how far went anymore. Was it just emotional? Was it just Grady? Or had there been others? My chest tightened. I typed back, "How long have you known?" This time, the response took longer. "Since February." February. That meant everything I'd done to fix us. The weekend getaway I planned, the second job I picked up to pay off her credit card debt, the nights I massaged her feet while she scrolled through Instagram pretending I didn't exist. All of it had been for a woman who was already giving pieces of herself to someone else. I didn't want to cry. I really didn't. But something cracked deep inside me then. Not the loud kind of crack, not explosive. Just a quiet fracture, like frost breaking glass. Lisa sent another message. I didn't know how to tell you. I wanted to. I did. And then, "You should talk to Grady's wife." I stared at those words, stunned. Grady's wife? He was married too? Felt like the floor fell out from under me. My vision blurred. My breath shortened. How many people were walking around pretending none of this existed? I leaned back on the motel bed and whispered to no one, "What the hell did I marry into?" I opened Facebook, typed his last name, and found her. She was smiling in every picture, and had no idea her life was about to be shattered, too. Her name was Ellery Grayson, Grady's wife. I found her profile in less than a minute. There she was, wearing a pastel blue sundress, holding a toddler on her hip, beaming in front of a yellow swing set in what looked like a suburban backyard too perfect to be real. I clicked through the photos like a ghost passing through someone else's life. Anniversary shots, beach vacations, pumpkin patches. It was the same kind of life I thought I had, except hers hadn't been ripped open. Yet, part of me hesitated. I didn't know if I was doing this for justice or revenge. But then I remembered Lisa's words, "Talk to Grady's wife." She wasn't just giving me a name. She was giving me permission. So I sent Ellery a message. Nothing dramatic. Just, "Hi, I think we should talk. It's about your husband. I'm not a scammer or anything. My name's Vernon. I have proof. Please check your other inbox." I almost didn't expect her to reply, but she did. 35 minutes later. What kind of proof? I felt my pulse jump. I took a breath, then attached a screenshot of Grady's message to me, followed by a photo of the ring, the note, and finally, a text Aubrey had accidentally sent me months ago that ended with, "I'm at G's. He says hi." At the time, she'd claimed it was a joke. I believed her. I wanted to believe her so badly, I practically erased it from memory. But now it was evidence. Ellery went silent for an hour. Then, "Can you meet in person?" We agreed on a coffee shop halfway between our towns. Neutral ground. Public. Safe. My hands trembled the entire drive. I didn't know what I'd say to her. I didn't even know what I hoped would happen. But I knew this couldn't stay buried. When I walked in, I recognized her immediately. Same sundress as the photo. But she wasn't smiling now. She stood up slowly and said, "You're Vernon." I nodded. "You're Ellery?" She looked down at her coffee, then back at me. I already knew something was wrong. I just didn't expect it to be this big. I pulled out the folder I'd printed. Everything. Screenshots, receipts, dates. I placed it on the table. And then she said something I didn't expect. He lied to me about being divorced. I didn't even know your wife existed. My mind reeled. What? I thought he was single. I thought I was the only one he was seeing. My stomach dropped. Grady wasn't just cheating with my wife. He was cheating on his wife with multiple women. This wasn't a love affair. It was a wreckage trail. And I was just the first to stumble into it. The folder I slid across the table to Ellery was supposed to be the end. I thought I was offering her closure, clarity, maybe even some sense of justice. But the moment she placed her hand on it, she froze. Her expression tightened. Her eyes, once shocked, now looked like they were processing something deeper. Something old. Something familiar. This name, she whispered, pointing at one of the receipts. The hotel on Route 17? Yeah, I said, confused. That's where they met last month. Why? She swallowed. That's not the first time he's taken someone there. Her voice cracked, just a little. He took me there when we first met. I leaned back, stunned. You're saying? She nodded, almost ashamed. I met Grady while I was still married. It was messy. He made it easy to leave. Too easy. Now I'm realizing maybe I wasn't the first woman he pulled into this pattern. I didn't know what to say. This was no longer just about infidelity. It was something colder, patterned, predatory. Grady wasn't just a cheater. He was a manipulator who collected people like trophies. And my wife, she was one of many. Maybe not even special. Ellery reached into her bag and pulled out a small flash drive. She slid it to me across the table. I know this is going to sound insane, she said quietly, but I've been tracking him for months. He has no idea. This has screenshots, messages, even a voice recording I took one night when he was on the phone with someone. I thought he was cheating. I didn't know who until now. My throat went dry. I picked up the flash drive like it might burn me. I never had the courage to look deeper, she said. But I think you do. We sat there in silence for a moment. Two strangers connected by shared humiliation and a man who had fooled us both. Before we parted ways, she looked me dead in the eye and said, "End it for both of us." I didn't sleep that night. I plugged the flash drive into my laptop. What I heard, it made my skin crawl. Grady's voice, clear, loud, laughing. She's so easy to manage. All I had to do was say her husband didn't appreciate her. They all fall for it. I paused the file. That was my wife he was talking about. But then I played the next clip. And this time it was Aubrey's voice. I know. I'm stringing him along a little longer. I just need to make sure he signs the house over first. Then I'm out. The air left my lungs. She wasn't just cheating. She was robbing me blind. The next morning, I drove straight to the courthouse. It wasn't a dramatic decision. It wasn't even emotional. It was mechanical, like finally pulling a splinter that had been rotting under the skin for months. I handed over the papers I'd been afraid to file before. Divorce. Full separation of assets. Emergency stop on the transfer she had scheduled behind my back. And thanks to the recording on that flash drive, it all held up. Her signature? It would be added by force of law if necessary. But I didn't stop there. I mailed a copy of the flash drive to her parents. I uploaded the voice clips to a private file-sharing link and sent it to every friend who had ever asked why we suddenly broke up. I didn't make a public scene. I made a quiet wave that exposed every lie she had built her false identity on. Aubrey tried to call me that afternoon. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail, half anger, half begging, and somewhere in there an insult or two just to feel in control again. But her voice no longer hit like it used to. It just sounded small. Grady? I heard through Ellery that he lost his job. Apparently, someone forwarded the recordings to his boss. Not me. She did it. She told me afterward with zero regret. I let him ruin me once, she said. I won't let him do it to anyone else. As for me, I moved out of the motel a week later. Got a small place in a quieter part of town. I planted a garden. Started cooking again. Not for anyone else, just me. And it's the strangest thing, sometimes peace feels unfamiliar at first. Like silence after a long storm. You almost forget what calm even sounds like. But I remember now. I see it in the way I wake up without dread. In the way I don't flinch at phone notifications. In the way I can finally look in the mirror and not see a man too broken to move on. Sometimes the best revenge isn't noise. It's rebuilding in a way they never imagined you could. Thanks for listening to my story. Now it's your turn. Drop a comment below and share a moment in your life where everything changed in an instant. Maybe it was painful, maybe it was powerful, maybe it led to something better. We want to hear it. And don't forget, this is the Reddit Confessions channel. Like, subscribe, and join us next time for more real stories that hit deep.